page 13. Now, let me just say this quickly. There are two-fold methods when we talk about staffing. If you were working at MHMR facility, and if they would say today is staffing day, it would be quite different from what you're talking about staffing in the Bible. The staffing they would probably be talking about is discussing the behavior pattern of one of their clients. That comes with all your observation. Everybody understand where I am? Other words, I understand this person is having problem in this area. He doesn't like this leader, doesn't like that leader. And why is he doing that? You want to find out why. His parents never visit him. He's kind of lonely. Somebody told me he's lonely. Somebody said he doesn't have his toys. He even grown people. MHMR said it. He might want toys. He doesn't have any new trousers. That's staffing. But now, when we're talking about staffing in the Christendom area, and I'm using that in the church area, because Christendom to me is a broad word I wouldn't even try to use in Christianity. Christendom now could be so misinterpreted, could be said that it's a false Christendom. So that wouldn't be applicable or appropriate to use. Staffing is a relatively straightforward process, page 13, of selecting. See, we're not just talking about bringing an individual name up. You could do that. If, for instance, pastor and 3 or 4 deacons get together, you staffing when you bring 2 or 3 people, say, are they ready to become deacons or deaconess? Are they ready to become teachers? That is a selected type staffing. But the actuality of it is, when you sit down, having come together, and talk about that person's character, and you approve of his character, perhaps you did an interview with that person. But you have also done some observation of that person. And you find that that person has certain gifts or ability to do what you want done. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Right. Then you might want to put up, we would staff that person for 2 years, because it may take 2 years to do the project that we have. There is such in the Old Testament. If you look at page 13 as I have it, some examples. Exodus, the 36th chapter is good enough. Basilah and Oholiab. Some people say Oholiab. They were men that Moses saw something in their life. What did he see? What did he cause these people to do?
They were crafters.
They were crafters.
They were
they laid the tabernacle foundation house, didn't they?
Right.
Yes. And that's what we call staffing now. In other words, me, Brother Reed, Sister Nell, we got together. Brother sitting down there, Ed. Is that Ed? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got together. We wanted to hire him. We saw something in him. And we come together and we say, you know, we have 3 or 4 brothers. And they're very gifted. Now here's what you're looking for. You remember the Bible said, lay hand on no man too sudden? Everything go on around here, they try to help out. And pastor back there would say, you know, Brother Hawkins, I tell you this, that brother, he could build a house if he wanted. And it just so happened we need to restructure our kitchen. And somebody else say, you know something too, he doesn't get involved in intoxication. He's always punctual about this. You looking at character. It does count. Character does count. And then you come together, forming a nucleus. This is in all church meetings anyway, particularly. And then you select him and bring him on board. Pretty much you're getting volunteers to do that kind of work because the church is not able to pay for everything. And by the way, that's the voluntary agency anyway, for the most part. Just like you read in the book of Exodus on these two men, that was somebody had some discernment about them, a gift to discern that they can lay the blueprint. And let me tell you, they were experts in that area.
Yeah.
There's another one, David's selection. That's Psalm 16:7. Let's see what it says here. Or did I get the right verse here? Should be Psalm 16:7. It may be Samuel. I think that might be first. No, that's First Samuel. First Samuel. That's what I thought.
Oh, I think.
Yeah. First Samuel. I'm sorry. Now look at what happened here in 1 Samuel 16 and in 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For God sees not as man sees, for man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Now, who was he talking about here?
Talking about David.
David.
He told Samuel to go and find him.
Right. See, there we got two things always working, the external and the internal. Be concerned about the internal of the person more so than the external. Because what's in a person eventually will come out of him anyway. Now, you remember how Samuel had looked at all these boys, looked over David.
Yes, sir.
You remember that?
Yes, sir.
So now this was staffing. He was staffing. We don't use that word, but I want you to be familiar with the word that we use. Break time. All right. I want you to be familiar with the word that we use, and because these are words that you hear in theology now, Christendom, well, I'm not going to use Christianity now. These are the words that we use in our church today. And our churches, and our black churches, I tell you, I'm impressed by what I see going on. I am impressed by what's going on in our black churches. Because we haven't always had men and women who could go to school like we do today. But God has